Welcome back to the channel where the darkest and most untold stories come to life. Today, we will explore a legend that blends human desires with supernatural consequences. Get ready to discover the well that granted macabre wishes. In a remote village, hidden among mountains perpetually covered by mist, there was an ancient well. This well was not like the others. It seemed alive, almost breathing, watching everyone who approached. The locals avoided the place, but curious visitors always found their way there. They heard stories that this well could grant any wish, but something about these requests never felt right. The surface of the water inside the well was as black as night, without any reflection. Whoever stared into it felt an eerie chill running down their spine, as if something was about to emerge. The first people to witness the power of the well were starving travelers. One of them, in his desperation, muttered, "I would give anything for food." The next day, food appeared in his tent, but his horse was found dead nearby. Another man, tired of his miserable life, wished for wealth. Days later, he received news that he had inherited a fortune after the unexpected death of a distant relative. He became rich, but alone. These stories began to circulate among the villagers. Some believed they were just coincidences. Others, however, swore that the well had a terrible price for every fulfilled request. Gradually, rumors turned into legends. Many said the well wasn't natural, but created by malevolent forces. Others believed it was a gateway to another world. Fear grew when a young couple decided to test the legend. Together, they made a wish: eternal happiness. That same night, both disappeared without a trace. Authorities searched tirelessly for the two, but nothing was found, except for one clue: fresh footprints leading directly to the well and ending at its edge. After this incident, the village completely isolated the site. They placed rusty chains and handwritten warnings about the dangers of approaching the well. Even so, the curious kept coming from afar. There was something irresistible about the idea of fulfilling a deep desire, even knowing the possible consequences. Each person who approached the well carried a secret, an impossible dream, unbearable pain, or forbidden ambition. They all thought their wishes were worth the risk. However, no one ever returned the same. Some came back changed, with empty eyes and strange behaviors. Others simply vanished, as if swallowed by the very darkness of the well. So, what really happens to those who make wishes to the well? Are their prayers answered, or are they merely feeding something much larger and much darker? To understand this story better, we need to investigate the origin of the well. According to the village elders, it existed even before the town's foundation. It is said that centuries ago, a group of mysterious monks built the well as part of a forbidden ritual. They sought direct communication with entities beyond human understanding. For years, these monks performed secret ceremonies around the well. They offered sacrifices and recited incantations in ancient languages, until one day something went wrong. No one knows exactly what happened during that final ceremony, but the monks disappeared without a trace. All that remained was the well, now different, pulsating with sinister energy. Records of these events are scarce. Few documents survived, and many were intentionally destroyed by the villagers themselves. There are accounts that some ancient texts mentioned pacts made with spirits from the depths. These agreements guaranteed immediate benefits, but demanded a price too high to pay. Over time, the true nature of the well was forgotten. It became just another scary legend told to keep children out of trouble. However, the well never stopped working. Its presence remained as a silent reminder that some things should not be disturbed. Over the years, several attempts were made to destroy the well. Dynamite, pickaxes, and even fire had no effect. It was as if it were indestructible, protected by invisible forces. Interestingly, every time someone tried to damage the well, something bad happened to that person. Unexplained accidents, sudden illnesses, and even premature deaths were attributed to these attempts. This further reinforced the belief that the well was not just a physical object, but something connected to hidden dimensions. A door to the unknown. Despite this, not everyone saw the well as a threat. For some, it represented a unique opportunity, a chance to change their lives in ways they could never imagine. These individuals risked everything for the power to fulfill their greatest desires. They ignored the warnings, convinced they could escape the consequences. But the well does not choose random victims. It seems to prefer those whose wishes are driven by intense emotions, greed, despair, or obsession. Now that we understand the origin of the well, let's explore some of the earliest documented cases of people who interacted with it. These stories are chilling and show the true cost of meddling with unknown forces. The first recorded case involved a farmer named Thomas Greaves. He was known for his simple life and hard work, but also for his unbridled ambition to expand his lands. One day, after a poor harvest, Thomas walked to the well in desperation. He muttered, "I'd give my soul for the best land in this region." The next day, his fields were filled with healthy crops. However, weeks later, all of Thomas's neighbors began suffering inexplicable losses. Animals died, crops dried up, and diseases plagued their families. Thomas prospered while others sank into misery. The community soon noticed the connection between Thomas's sudden prosperity and the tragedies around him. Some suspected he had made a pact with the well, but no one could prove it. Months later, Thomas was found dead on his property. His body was intact, but his face showed an expression of absolute terror. Next to him were footprint marks leading directly to the well. Another notable case involved a young woman named Eliza Hart. She was in love with a man who didn't return her feelings. Desperate, she asked the well to make him fall in love with her. Surprisingly, the wish worked. The man began showing genuine interest in Eliza, and they started a relationship. But something about him seemed different. Over time, Eliza noticed strange changes in her beloved's behavior. He spoke incoherent phrases in his sleep and avoided mirrors at all costs. One night, she saw him staring intently at the well. When confronted, he confessed feeling an irresistible compulsion to visit the site. Days later, he disappeared without a trace. Eliza was never the same again. They say she aged years in just a few months. A third case involved an ambitious merchant named Harold Finch. He desired unlimited wealth and didn't hesitate to make the request to the well. In no time, his business flourished beyond his expectations. However, Harold's fortune came with personal tragedies. His wife fell gravely ill, and his only son died in a mysterious accident. Harold became rich but completely alone. People began noticing patterns in the reports. The bigger the wish, the worse the consequences. The well seemed to feed on human pain and suffering, turning each request into a curse. Despite these clear warnings, there was always someone willing to try. The promise of fulfilling impossible dreams was too seductive to ignore. In the next minute, we'll reveal specific stories of people who faced the well and the devastating consequences that followed their wishes. Stay tuned to continue following this spine-chilling story. Although many believe ancient legends belong to the past, the well proves that some stories remain alive. In recent years, new accounts have emerged from people claiming to have interacted with it. One of the most recent cases involved a tourist named Clara Bennett. During a trip to the village, she heard about the well and decided to investigate it herself. Clara later admitted she was going through financial and emotional difficulties. In a moment of weakness, she whispered, "I want a new life." That night, She had a vivid dream about the well. In the dream, a soft voice promised to fulfill her wish, but warned her to be prepared for the consequences. Clara woke up frightened, but initially paid no attention to what had happened. Weeks later, her life changed drastically. She received an unexpected job offer in another country and decided to start over. Everything seemed perfect until she began receiving anonymous letters. The letters contained disturbing messages, all handwritten in black ink. One of them read, "You belong to the well now." Clara tried to ignore them, but fear grew with each passing day. Another modern account came from a university student named Ryan Miller. He visited the well as part of academic research on local folklore. Curious, he jokingly made a wish. Ryan wished for success in his studies, something seemingly harmless. At first everything went well. He got high grades and impressed his professors. But then strange things began to happen. He started dreaming frequently about the well. In his dreams, he saw shadowy figures emerging from the black water, whispering his name. He woke up drenched in cold sweat, unable to forget those images. To make matters worse, Ryan noticed that personal belongings were mysteriously disappearing from his room. When questioned, he swore he felt a constant presence beside him, even when alone. These modern accounts confirm that the well is still active. It seems to adapt to the current context, affecting people in subtle yet equally devastating ways. Many paranormal phenomenon experts were drawn to the mystery of the well. They conducted scientific investigations, but no equipment managed to capture concrete evidence of supernatural activity. However, witnesses claim the well has palpable energy. Some report feeling dizzy, nauseous, or even hallucinating when approaching it. Others say they hear voices coming from the depths. Despite the obvious risks, the well continues to attract the curious and desperate. It's as if it emanates a magnetic force, drawing those willing to pay any price for their wishes. Different theories attempt to explain how the well works and the nature of its powers. Some are based on science, others on mythology, but none offer a definitive answer. One of the most popular theories suggests the well is a dimensional anomaly. It would be a breach between our world and another dimension, inhabited by unknown entities. According to this hypothesis, these entities grant wishes in exchange for human vital energy. This would explain why so many people experience tragedies after interacting with the well. Another theory speculates the well is a physical manifestation of human thoughts. It would reflect our deepest and darkest desires, materializing them in unpredictable ways. This idea gains strength when analyzing victim reports. Many claim their wishes were fulfilled literally, but not necessarily in the way they expected. There are also those who believe the well is a conscious entity. It would carefully choose its victims, preferring those whose wishes are driven by intense and selfish emotions. This theory is supported by reports from people who claim to feel a presence around the well. Some describe it as watchful, while others sense it as predatory. Skeptical scientists argue the well might just be a psychological phenomenon. The combination of geographic isolation, local superstitions, and social pressure could create collective illusions. However, this doesn't explain the tangible events linked to the well, such as disappearances and drastic life changes for those involved. Something deeper is at play here. Another line of thought connects ancient wells to portals to the underworld. This connection reinforces the idea that the well might be an entrance to alternate realities. Whatever the truth, the well continues to operate outside natural laws. It defies logic and transcends our understanding, becoming an eternal enigma. Interestingly, some cultures associate ancient wells with altars to forgotten pagan goddesses. In this context, the well could serve as a test of human morality. Each victim would learn, the hard way, about the consequences of their selfish acts. If this theory is true, the granted wishes would be less about material benefits and more about moral lessons. Every victim would learn, in the hardest way possible, about the consequences of their selfish actions. Curiously, some cultures associate old wells with portals to the underworld. This connection reinforces the idea that the well might be an entry point to alternate realities. Regardless of the explanation, one thing is certain: the well operates. Outside natural laws, it defies logic and transcends our understanding, becoming an eternal enigma. Once a wish is made to the well, few manage to escape the consequences. However, some victims desperately tried to reverse their wishes, seeking redemption or salvation. The first recorded attempt was by Thomas Greaves, the ambitious farmer whose wish destroyed his community. After realizing the devastating impact of his request, he begged the well to undo what he had done. Thomas spent entire nights next to the well, crying and screaming for forgiveness. He offered everything he owned, his land, his cattle, even his own life, hoping to fix the mistake. However, the well remained silent. There was no response, no sign that his pleas had been heard. Some say this indifference drove Thomas mad before his mysterious death. Another notable attempt came from Eliza Hart, the young woman who lost her love to the dark forces of the well. After her beloved disappeared, she sought help in ancient rituals found in forgotten books. Eliza performed ceremonies under the full moon, using herbs and incantations to try to break the connection between the well and the man she loved. For a brief moment, she felt something had changed. But instead of bringing her love back, the ritual attracted something even more sinister. Eliza swore she saw shadows moving around her house, whispering incomprehensible words at night. Harold Finch, the ambitious merchant, also tried to reverse his fate. He donated all his newly acquired fortune to charity, believing it might appease the forces of the well. Unfortunately, the money brought no peace. Harold continued to be haunted by guilt and memories of the loved ones he had lost. His wealth disappeared as quickly as it had come. In modern times, Clara Bennett tried to seek professional help after the events related to the well began, affecting her mental health. She consulted psychologists, mediums, and even priests. Despite all efforts, Clara couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The anonymous letters kept coming, each more disturbing than the last. Ryan Miller, the university student, experimented with scientific approaches. He installed cameras around his house and used monitoring devices to detect paranormal activities. Although the recordings showed nothing unusual, Ryan claimed to feel a constant presence. He began avoiding mirrors, convinced something was watching him through them. These frustrated attempts reveal a cruel truth. Once the well grants a wish, there's no turning back. It seems to seal an invisible pact, impossible to break. The question that intrigues experts and the curious alike is clear: who or what truly controls the well? There are several hypotheses, each scarier than the last. One of the oldest theories suggests the well is inhabited by a single entity, locally known as the Guardian of the Depths. They say this creature lives in the black waters and watches everyone who approaches. According to legends, the Guardian carefully chooses its victims, preferring those whose wishes are fueled by intense emotions. It grants wishes as a way to collect human souls. Another theory proposes the well isn't controlled by a single entity, but rather by multiple forces. These entities would work together, each responsible for a specific aspect of the wishes. For example, one force might manipulate someone's financial destiny, while another alters personal relationships. Together, they ensure every wish is fulfilled with cruel precision. There are also those who believe the well has no conscious controller. Instead, it would be an autonomous manifestation of residual energy left behind by the ancient monks' rituals. This accumulated energy over the centuries would have gained a life of its own, responding to human thoughts and emotions without any conscious intention. Curiously, some cultures associate ancient wells with forgotten pagan deities. In this context, the well could be an altar dedicated to a forgotten goddess whose purpose was to test human morality. If this theory is true, the granted wishes would be less about material benefits and more about moral lessons. Each victim would learn, in the hardest way possible, about the consequences of their selfish actions. Others suggest the well is a prison for condemned spirits. These spirits, unable to find peace, would manipulate the living as a form of entertainment or revenge. This idea is supported by reports of people claiming to hear voices coming from the depths. Some of these voices seem human, while others are described as distorted and inhuman. Regardless of who or what controls the well, one thing is certain: it operates with its own logic, incomprehensible to humans. Its methods are unpredictable and relentless. Some researchers speculate the well might be part of a larger network of similar sites around the world. Each of these places would serve as a contact point between dimensions. This theory broadens the scope of the legend, transforming the well into just a fragment of something much larger and more complex. This would explain why so many cultures have similar stories about mysterious wells. Over the years, certain victims of the well became legendary, their stories widely shared and debated. Here are the names that fascinated your followers the most. Thomas Greaves, the ambitious farmer whose wish destroyed his community. His story serves as a warning about the dangers of unchecked greed. Eliza Hart, the lovesick young woman who lost her beloved to the forces of the well. Her case is often cited as an example of how obsessive love can lead to ruin. Harold Finch, the merchant who traded his family for wealth. His tragedy resonates as a reminder that material success cannot replace human bonds. Clara Bennett, a modern tourist whose life was turned upside down after an impulsive wish. Her story proves the well remains active today. Ryan Miller, the university student who experienced inexplicable phenomena after jokingly wishing upon the well. His case illustrates how even seemingly harmless wishes can have serious consequences. Beyond these names, there are others that have become iconic in the stories told by local residents. They represent different facets of human nature and its weaknesses. Margaret Lowe, a seamstress who wished for eternal beauty. She became obsessed with mirrors and ended up isolated, unable to bear her own reflected appearance. Victor Kane, an inventor who wished for unlimited inspiration. His creations revolutionized his era, but cost the lives of many workers in industrial accidents. Sophie Grayson, a writer who dreamed of literary fame. Her books became bestsellers, but she was consumed by paranoia and loneliness. These names echo as warnings, each highlighting a different aspect of the price paid for wishes granted by the... Well, among your followers, these stories sparked intense debates. Some see these victims as guilty of their own misfortune, while others view them as mere puppets of superior forces. Regardless of perspective, the names of these victims remain etched in collective memory, enduring symbols of the power and danger of the well. These stories also inspired works of art, films, and documentaries. The well transcended its local origins, becoming a global icon of mystery and horror. The legend of the well that grants macabre wishes transcended the village where it originated, influencing pop culture and inspiring countless artistic creations. Today, we'll explore how this story impacted movies, books, and even video games. In cinema, the well served as inspiration for numerous horror films. Directors used its dark and enigmatic atmosphere to create chilling narratives about human greed and supernatural consequences. A notable example is the fictional film Whispers from the Depths, released in 2015. The plot follows a young journalist investigating disappearances linked to a mysterious well, clearly inspired by the legend. In literature, writers adapted elements of the story to create psychological thrillers and gothic horror novels. Books like The Wishing Well became bestsellers, exploring themes of morality and sacrifice. These books often highlight the ethical dilemmas faced by characters. When making wishes to the well, they question how far we're willing to go to achieve our deepest dreams. In video games, the well appears as a central element in various horror franchises. Players take on the role of victims who must face the terrifying consequences of their own wishes. A notable game is Eternal Abyss, where players must explore a cursed well while battling creatures born from their own fears and regrets. Moreover, the well has become a widely recognized cultural symbol. It represents the duality of human desire, the relentless pursuit of something better versus the inevitable price that comes with it. Visual artists have also been inspired by the legend. Surreal paintings depicting black wells with human figures falling or being sucked in have become popular in contemporary art exhibitions. Musicians compose songs about the well, using dark lyrics and captivating melodies to capture the essence of the story. Rock and metal bands frequently address the theme in conceptual albums. The internet played a crucial role in spreading the legend. Online forums dedicated to scary stories turned the well into a recurring topic, with users sharing their own versions of the tale. YouTube videos, including some from this channel, helped further popularize the story. First-person narratives and dramatic recreations gave new life to the legend, attracting millions of curious viewers. The well also influenced tourism. Despite warnings and local legends, people from all over the world traveled to visit the supposed location where it stands, seeking to personally experience its mysterious aura. Interestingly, many of these visitors report strange experiences during their trips. Some claim to feel an oppressive sensation when approaching the site, while others swear they saw unusual movements in the dark waters. At the end of this exploration, we are left to ask, why does the well exert such fascination over us? Its legend not only frightens, but also invites us to reflect on fundamental aspects of the human condition. First, the well symbolizes the universal desire for transcendence. We all at some point yearn for something out of reach, whether it's wealth, love, success, or eternal happiness. However, the legend warns that fulfilling these desires may cost more than we imagine. It forces us to confront the idea that our ambitions can be self-destructive if not tempered with wisdom. Furthermore, the well represents the unknown. It's a metaphor for the invisible forces that shape our lives: fate, luck, karma, or even obscure deities. The darkness within the well echoes the mysteries we all carry within ourselves. Fears, secrets, and forbidden desires find parallels in the unfathomable depths of this legend. Another intriguing aspect is the duality present in the story. The well offers both hope and despair, promising fulfillment while sowing destruction. This ambiguity resonates deeply within our souls. Still, there's something irresistible about imagining what would happen if we made a wish to the well. Even knowing the risks, part of us wants to test the limits of possibility, dangerously flirting with impossibility. Perhaps it's this tension between curiosity and fear that keeps the legend alive. It reminds us that although we may dream big, we must always carefully weigh the cost of our desires. The well also functions as a moral mirror. It reflects our weaknesses and vulnerabilities, showing us who we truly are when confronted with absolute power. For many, the legend serves as a lesson about gratitude. Instead of constantly seeking more, it encourages us to value what we already have and accept the imperfections of life. Interestingly, the well transcends cultural and temporal barriers. Regardless of where we live or what era we're in, the idea of a wish granted with a terrible price resonates universally. This proves that certain stories are timeless, striking sensitive chords in our collective hearts. They remind us that despite our differences, we share similar fears and aspirations. Throughout this series, we explored the origins, cases, theories, and cultural impact of the well. But above all, we delved into the complexities of what it means to be human. Now it's up to you to decide what to think about this legend. Is it just a fable invented to entertain? Or is there somewhere far away a real well waiting for its next victim? Thank you for joining us on this journey through the well that granted macabre wishes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories. See you next time.